أهلا وسهلا. Right now we're going to talk about verbs in Arabic that have two final root letters that are the same, that have a doubled consonant as the end of their root. We call this in Arabic الفعل المضع, literally a doubled root is what we're saying. And you probably already know several of these. The verb for like or love, أحب, has two bas at the end of its root, or the verb حس, meaning to feel, has ha, sin, sin as its root, or the verb for getting yourself ready, استعد, has ain and two dals as its root. And as you can see in these situations, huwa, conjugated for the past tense, these letters are often content to cohabitate together under one shadda. But sometimes there are irregularities. Some verbs that come from doubled roots are completely regular in forms 2, 3, 5, and 6. Nothing at all changes, and the conjugations, the vowels remain exactly the same. You know a couple of these, like to decide, قرر, or to specialize, تخصص. And because of the patterns of these roots, the two sods and two ras kind of separate and go their own separate ways, so nothing needs to change. However, in the other verb patterns, sometimes situations arise where, because of the rules about how vowels work in formal Arabic, we actually need to separate those two root letters from each other. They can't live under one shadda together anymore. This is a great big chart. You can find it in other places, but what I want to draw your attention to is the situations where the last two root letters of this verb aren't together. The verb is dhanna, meaning to think, as in to believe something to be true. So in the huwa past tense conjugation, which we also have here, dhanna, we have a noon with a shadda, which really represents two noons. However, if I wanted to say I thought in the past tense, I would say ظننت. Where I would separate those noons, put a sukoon here, and then add a dhamma. The reason that this happens in fusha, in formal Arabic, is that there is a rule that says we can't have two letters both with sukoon on them right next to each other in a word. And ostensibly, if we were to try to put these two noons together under one shadda with a sukoon, they would both be there and they would both have sukoon. So for that reason, we need to separate them and add that fatha so that we don't violate this rule of phonetics in formal Arabic. You could attempt to memorize all 14 of these past tense conjugations, but there is a simpler way to do it, which is to recognize that all of the first person and all of the second person conjugations separate those last two root letters, and all of the third person conjugations, except for one, keep the noon, the pair of noons, the doubled consonants, together under one shadda. The only exception is the conjugation for hunna, the feminine human plural that we would use for talking about a group of women, where, again, because we have a conjugation with a sukoon before the suffix, it wouldn't quite work and we would have too many sukoons. So we would wind up saying dhananna, where again we've kind of separated them, and because of the conjugation we've actually added a third noon, which is now living with the second noon of the pattern. In the present tense, we're almost in the clear. The verbs work almost exactly as they do in all the other situations that we know. The only exceptions, again, are the feminine plural conjugations, where because the conjugation would require us to have too many sukoons, we actually have to change the order of where the sukoon would be. We say, تظنن, you, feminine plural, think, or يظنن, they, those women, think or believe something. Two little wrinkles, two little exceptions. In colloquial Arabic, again, remember those rules are fusha rules. In colloquial Arabic, we have a different but simple way of resolving the same thing. Instead of saying ظننت in Levantine or Egyptian Arabic, I would say instead ظنيت. And I would add an A sound. I would add a ya at the end of that doubled consonant. This is pretty consistent for all of our geminate or doubled verbs in Arabic. If I wanted to say, I loved in the past tense, but I got over that. حبيت. And I would just add that A sound to the end of my regular conjugation. Here, the rule is very consistent. If there are third-person conjugations, they don't have the A before the conjugation suffix. We would say she, hiya, she liked or loved, whatever it was, habbat. Or hum, habbu. But if it's first person or second person, I need to add that A before my past tense conjugation suffix. Other than that, all the rules are the same. It might seem intimidating that there is this exception, but realize that you have been using these verbs successfully for a long, long time. And all I've done is to present some exceptions where in formal writing or formal speech, we would need to make some slight adjustments.